Shalom uvracha. The portion of the week, Vayishlach, meaning, and he sent. Who sent? Yaakov. Yaakov is sending the angels to Esav towards the meeting. Since they didn't have WhatsApp at that time, so he had to send angels. Communication was working till the dawn of time. So he's sending those angels to check out Esav. Where are you at? Are you ready for the revelation, for the redemption, la Geulah? Are you ready for your enlightenment? The purpose of Yaakov is to bring Mashiach, to bring the redemption to this world. And that's what he was doing 20 years in the house of Lavan, in Haran. In the last portion, we realized that Yaakov had to run away from Esav. And he settled for a while in Harana, the lowest place as far as a spirituality, as well in the mundane realm. And over there is growing 12 tribes, meaning the tribes, our fathers, grew up in the lowest place. And since there's the verse, Maaseh Avot Siman Lebanim, what the fathers were doing in their life gave us the abilities to do in our life. And since they were at that time in a lower place, meaning that each and every one of us have the power and the potential to elevate himself and to go in this journey of self-refinement, in self-refining, in fulfillment and towards joy. So in the last portion, Yaakov is moving out of Haran. He's leaving Lavan with his wife and the children, and he's coming back to his country. So in his way back to his country, he knows he's going to meet Esav. It's been about 20 years they didn't meet each other. So he's sending angel towards him. Please excuse my crooked English. There's two reasons sometimes why I am slow. Maybe three. It's not, English is not my mother language. And thinking the Bible in English, it's not simple since it's very profound words. And third, the concept, sometimes I would like you to observe a certain concept. That's why I'm slowing down. So Yaakov is sending those angels, and the angels returning to Yaakov and telling him, your brother is not ready. He's not ready for the work, or he didn't do the work he's supposed to do with him on a spiritual level. With himself, he didn't do it, so he's not ready. So Yaakov is preparing himself towards this meeting. And the verse is saying, Rashi is mentioning over there, that Yaakov התקין את עצמו לשלושה דברים, לתפילה ולדורון ולמלחמה. Meaning, Yaakov fixed himself, corrected himself in three levels, in three aspects. Tfilah, praying, Doron, a present, and Milchama, a war. Now, the word that is being used by Rashi in Hebrew mean hitkin atzmo. It's supposed to say hechin atzmo, prepared himself to this meeting, like we're preparing ourselves to our meetings. So why our wise ones are using hitkin and not hechin? Hitkin, fixed himself, corrected himself, like meaning he refined something within him. Why it doesn't say that he prepared himself? Hechin atzmo. So the wise ones are saying that if Rashi wrote hitkin, meaning Yaakov had to do a certain work with himself, self-refining process with himself towards this meeting with Esav. We know that Yaakov symbolizing the light, while Esav the darkness. Esav symbolizing self-centered, ego, concentrating on yourself, with yourself, self-centered, while Yaakov is the divine. Now, with any sorts of relationship, towards any meeting we're going towards, we need to prepare ourselves. And here, in this portion of the week, in order to have good relationships, which make a person very happy when he have good relationships in his life. That's the most important thing in life, I think, when you have good relationships with all your surrounding. Before you going into this meeting, first you need to face yourself, the relationship with yourself, in 3 aspects. You need to prepare yourself in 3 aspects to correct yourself. Same with Yaakov. The wise ones are saying that if he prepared himself, he fixed himself in 3 aspects. That's why it says hitkin, from tiken, fixed himself, meaning there were 3 things that were very hard for Yaakov with himself towards this meeting with Esav. The first one is the present. The present meaning dawn. He was supposed to give a present to Esav, and Yaakov was in anger he had an anger with himself towards Esav, because Esav didn't do any work with himself. He didn't do tshuva, he didn't refine himself. He was still in his evil inclination. So he had this anger within him, a friction to give anything to Esav. Why? Because once a person gives something to someone, he gives as well with that spiritual traits. He gives something out of himself. Either it's a present, either it's yourself. When you need to give yourself within relationship, you move energy to the other person. When you give a beautiful crystal, a present, something from your belonging to someone else, you're giving him as well from your powers, from your energy. And Yaakov didn't want to give the holiness, the goodness to Esav while he was not prepared to receive it. So that's why it was very hard for him to give Esav this present. That's why he had to refine something within himself. He had to work on himself in order to do that. The second thing was praying. Yaakov, from the time God is promising Yaakov that I will be with you, Heitiv Eitiv Imach, and you will see prosperity and good in your life, thanks to your work and your ancestors. Since that promise, time passed, and because Yaakov was very humble, he was thinking maybe he made a sins since that promise, and then he wouldn't be worthy to that promising. So he had to pray and to trust the good and that God promised him. So he had to pray for it. So he had again to work with himself in this aspect. And the third one is war, milchama. That was the hardest thing for Yaakov. Why? Because he was afraid that he would kill someone, he would kill Esav, or he would get killed. And still, he came over that feeling, and he prepared himself to this war if it's needed. Sometimes we have to realize, sometimes the evil inclination, working in a certain place so strongly that the good have to fight the war, exactly like in Star Wars. So he had to fix himself and to trust Hashem that that's the will of Hashem. If this war will be needed, that's what I need to do. Now, when we look in depth, when we look inside, we're seeing here something very, very interesting. In depth, Yaakov had to prepare himself in 3 aspects, 3 dimensions, 3 levels. Dawn, matana, it's the right line according to Kabbalah, grace, chesed, meaning love, giving. The other line is the left line, which call gvura. Gvura, it's justice, self-restraint, like patience. He had to work with himself, learning to say no to yourself, and enough is enough, and to the other person. That's the left lane, which called Gvura. And the third lane, which is the middle lane, called Tiferet, meaning harmony, beauty. The combination of those two, which been symbolized in the praying, in the prayer, like Rachamim, to show compassion, and beauty and harmony, it's the middle line. So Yaakov actually had to reveal those three aspects within him. As we know in Kabbalah, it says that there is the right lane, left lane, and the middle lane. And that's what he had to do with himself, to fix himself. That's why our sages didn't mention the word prepared himself, hechin, but hitkin atzmo. The Holy Language is very, very precise, meaning Yaakov prepared himself for this work because he had to do a certain work with it. And why? Because it wasn't according to his nature. Sometimes a person is a certain type, he have a certain character, so he will work either in the right lane, left lane, or middle lane. But to work with those three aspects, which looks like, a contradiction, that's why it was a hard work. This war of Yaakov and Esav together, of light and darkness, bitterness and sweetness, good and bad, exist within ourselves and as well in our relationships. In order to win this war, we need to learn from our father, from our ancestor, Yaakov. And of course, we have this potential to work in those three lanes simultaneously, meaning together in the same time. Now, sometimes it's above our nature. That's why we need to self-refine ourselves and to feel that in our scenarios. I will try to give an example. When you're going through a certain friction in your life and you're finding yourself failing or not succeeding to do something that you know you're supposed to do, it's either to do something, either to say something, either to find yourself, living something that it's not good for you. Or in your nature, when you communicate, you're seeing that there is a negative tendency, inclination over there that repeats itself over and over again. So you can become very desperate or like very frustrated with the fact that I cannot succeed in doing a certain work with myself. Here, I need to reveal the right lane, meaning love for the good that within me. To trust that the good in the end will win the darkness. The left lane within me mean that I need to know to put borders and limitation, either to myself, either to the other person. Enough is enough. That's it. Saying no, which is very hard. Sometimes it's against our nature, or the circumstances are so strong that we cannot do it. Or it's not in our blueprint, this power, to reveal this power. But it's enough that you think about it and you praying to Hashem towards it, that He will help you to reveal this potential. In the end, it will happen. From observing those right and lane in your scenarios of life, meaning observe them, elevate within you, you will find the beauty and the harmony of the combination of those two lanes, and they actually they're not contradicting. They're completion. They complete something. Hem mashlimim. They complete each other. They adding towards each other. Compassion, sometimes you need to show either in your relationship with others, of course, and with yourself as well, compassion. Compassion towards what? Towards the divine that within you, this divine spark that exists within you. And the sages are saying that we need to think about this divine spark within us, and where do we plant it in our life, meaning in our life scenarios. Sometimes we're going so low. Remember, even the tribes were in Haran, in a very low place. We have the power, we have the potential to elevate from there by showing compassion towards this divine spark that within us, and we're planting it in scenarios that really we don't want to be there. And in order to win, to gain this war against darkness, we need to work in those three lanes, in those three lines, in those three aspects. So meaning elevating this compassion towards this divine spark and observing the depth insight of working with the goodness and kindness within you, and self-restraint, like enough is enough, being just what is need to be done, I have to do it. From observing it, the right insight will elevate, and that create the harmony, the middle line, beauty, tiferet, meaning harmony. That the inside, the essence of tiferet is actually compassion. Compassion towards your divine spark with you will help you to elevate from certain places you don't want to be really at. So the Lubavitcher Rebbe is focusing our mind here and telling us that we need to find those power within us, especially in this time of the galut, of this exile, that we don't see that all is good. We don't feel always good. We're going through very hard challenges. It's not enough to work according to my nature, my character, my blueprint that I am. I have to work above my mind, to be very devoted, like to self-sacrifice, לעבוד בהתמסרות, to like self-devotion towards this work, to try to elevate those three aspects within me, and with God's help, and of course with praying a lot, we will reach those times that ועלו מושיעים בהר ציון לשפוט את עריסיו והייתה להשם המלוכה, meaning that time that Israel will elevate and we will judge in compassion all other nation, and God will be one, and everyone will believe in one good, hopefully with the redemption to come right this moment. Thank you. See you in the next portion.